I'm Poornima. Okay, not here to scare you guys, so relax. Oh, I'm a little scared. Okay, it's all about the perspective. Okay, so let's start this session of how we are going to prepare for CA exams with a little bit of changed perspective. You know, from going, oh my God, how am I going to be able to do this? To yes, I can do this, because it's all about the perspective. It's about thinking, yes, I can do it. When I was watching MasterChef yesterday, and the chef in that says that first you get the attitude of the chef, and then you get the quote of the chef. Same way, first you need to get the attitude that you are a CA and you're going to become a CA. Then the two-digit prefix, two-letter prefix adds on to your name. Okay, so let's feel that we are going to be CAs at one point, and this is a level which we are going to clear. Okay, let's believe that we can do this and move ahead with this. So let's start this session with that changed perspective of how we can study better and how we can prepare more effectively than we are doing right now. Okay, so how can we achieve this? How can we do this? CA is a mind game, of course, I just explained. So what are the strategies that we need to adopt in order to do this better? Okay, so first of all, let us ensure, all of us, let's ensure that we are covering 100% of our syllabus, okay, from A to Z at least once. Why is this necessary? When we go to the exam hall, we get a question, okay, and we look at the question, and 20% of that question we understand, the remaining 80% we are confused, and we think that, oh, this is from that concept that I have not studied, and we skip and go to the next question. In fact, it might be something else. It might be some concept that you already studied, but if you had looked closer at it, you would have been able to decode it. Now, to at least get this understanding, what is the concept that you are very well prepared, and what is that concept that you are not, certain of? At least for this understanding, you have to cover 100% of the syllabus. You should know at least what is there on what chapter, in what is the concept that is being covered. To get that understanding, you need to cover all of it at least once. Okay, at least once. Later on, you can prioritize. Okay, this is the important subject, this is the important topic, so I will focus more on this. This is not as important as the others, so I will focus less on this. But first, you have to complete the whole of it, the 100% of the syllabus at least once. Okay. Now, you all have started with your classes and preparation, right? Don't delay further. After your classes, go back, spend at least 15 to 20 minutes and start studying. Start studying right now. Don't push it any further. Okay? Don't wait until the last 10 days of the exam to actually start preparing. You don't have to study for 14 to 16 hours a day or 10 to 12 hours a day either. Okay? Even for my finals, I did not study for 14 hours a day. Okay? It's not necessary to study longer. What is necessary is to keep studying every single day. You're doing 6 hours. Do 6 hours religiously every single day. Don't take excuses, my friend's wedding or any other reason for leisure time. You feel exhausted, take some break, calm down, sleep, lie down, but get back to study. Why shouldn't you be taking that half a day off or 1 day off? It's not about that half day or 1 day. It's about when you come back, half of your mind is still there. Half of your brain is still having fun. You can't come back to your study 100%. So you need to have that consistency to keep studying every single day for whatever hours you're studying. 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever is comfortable for you. Do that every single day consistently. Okay? Tell yourself that I can do this and I will do this every single day. Now, a very, very important thing that I have myself mistaken, okay, is the reference materials we refer. Multiple reference material we take up. I'm taking this because my friend is doing this. I'm also taking this because this friend is doing this. One question bank, one this, one that. So many materials that towards the end of the exam, I don't know what material to refer to. Whether I should study from this or this, I don't know. And this is one of the major reasons why most of us, including me, do not cover 100%. I did not cover 100% in the attempt I did not clear. I did not clear in my first attempt, and that is why I know how important it is to push back and come again next time. Okay, so refer one material. ICI material, of course, preferable, but some of you feel comfortable referring to other materials. Take that, but stick to that material. If you're choosing one material, stick to it throughout. Okay, do not put your hands on multiple materials and confuse yourself. Okay, stick to this material and go on studying continuously. Now, once we have established this, once we have made sure that we are doing this, let's see how we can elevate our preparation by using a few things, by using a few strategies. Okay, one of them is the ICI inputs. ICI wants as many people to clear as possible. Okay, the passing percentage might be less, but it really wants us to pass, and that is why it helps us. How does it help us? On the portal, it puts up a lot of materials that we can make use of, that can be helpful. In the next slides, I'll show you what those materials are. But let's come back to that point. As of now, let's understand that ICI comes up with a lot of materials. We'll look at it in a while. Now, what else can we do? When you're studying, when you're preparing for your exams, like right now, make sure that you highlight or mark whatever is important. Like for example, what I did in my SFM, we have a subject in CA finals called SFM, Strategic Financial Management, and every chapter has roughly around 30 to 35 questions. Okay, and a day before the exam, how will we practice all those questions, right? So what did I do is, while preparing for the exams, like a month or two before, I marked, I marked yellow wherever I thought I might have to revise again. I marked green wherever I thought, no, this can be skipped. I marked a red jalebi, which was like, mind-wrecking, and I have to look at this right before the exam. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to, remember this, or there's no way I'll remember this if I don't look at it. So I marked those things, red jalebis, so that I remember to come back to this particular question. So that's a technique I used. You can use a technique you want. And it's not just in practical subjects. You can also do this for theory. Now, not mark the entire page with your highlighters. Okay. Whatever is the keyword, pick that keyword, mark it. Why? So that when you read right before the exam, you can just flip through it, and all you can see is that highlighted word. So at least if you have not gone through the entire paragraph, you have picked up on those words, it sticks in your memory, and you will be able to produce it in your exam. So highlighters are your second best friend. Okay, first your calculator, then your highlighters. Use it wisely. Okay, these small things we tend to ignore, but helps us tremendously right before the exam. Why? It reduces the number of pages you have to cover to little sentences. Okay, it makes you feel better. You are not overwhelmed by so much content, right? Okay, so selective study. Now, selective study at 100% coverage. It's contradictory, it might feel, but first let's understand what is the meaning of selective study. Selective study is not studying only 80% and leaving 20%. Selective study is first studying 100% and then picking what part is important and what should be focused on selectively and what can be given less attention to. That is selective study. Why am I bringing this up again? Because it is important to understand that at least once we need to cover the entire thing, and the next step we will be doing is picking up on concepts that is more important or more to be focused on. Okay, fine. So now this is how you will be preparing for your exams. What about the day before the exam? Now, why is a strategy needed for the day before the exam? Now you're studying, okay, you have 2 months, right? You have 6 weeks. So the way you're studying, the way you're splitting your days is different. The number of hours you're giving for one particular subject, one particular chapter is different. But can you allot the same number of hours right before the exam? No, right? You have to cover that entire subject in that 24 hours. How do you proportion this? How do you allocate your time? For this, you need a last day exam strategy. What will you do? Whatever notes you have prepared while you were studying, make sure along with that you have a concise notes. Either you prepare it yourself when you're studying, make pointers. Okay, what I did for my final audit paper is that I had a question book where there were a lot of questions in individual chapter. I picked up on those points and I put it in 2 pages. So my entire standard on auditing is covered in 1 or 2 pages. So all I had to do was read that 20 standards in 20 to 25 pages. That's all. So you can either choose to make up notes of your own, make a concise notes. But if you feel, oh, I do not have so much time to make up concise notes, there are a lot of reference materials available which either give you chart books or concise notes, or for that matter, institute itself comes up with capsules for each chapter. You can refer that, but make sure you don't open these things right before the exam. Okay, make sure you've prepared with it while you are studying, because what happens is when we open something new right before the exam, we get tense, right? Because it's new, we haven't seen that before. So don't open it right before the exam. Make sure you've studied with it when you were preparing. Okay, it's important so that when you're studying right before the exam, you know that one last day, you don't look at 400-500 page textbook and get overwhelmed. You can merge the whole thing into a small 50-page notebook. That will make you feel better right before the exam. Okay, and whatever highlighted points or questions you have that you have marked while you have prepared, make sure you go through them. Try not to pick up new concepts right the day before the exam, because what will happen is you pick up one concept, you may not be able to solve it because you have not given it time, and you'll stress out and you'll think, oh my god, I don't know anything. Although it might be a very small part of your entire chapter, it might tend to demotivate us. So try not to pick up things that you have not studied right before the exam. Try to make sure you finish them while you're preparing. Alright. So let us look at what are the inputs given by ICI in order to help us. So there's something called Saransh, or last mile referencer. Now this has accounting standards, this has auditing standards. So you can refer to these. These are concise, these are crisp, and it will save you a lot of time of going through your entire module on that particular standards. Okay. This is a subject-wise capsule. They have chapter-wise. Like for each subject, each chapter, they have a capsule. It's concise. It's concisely written for all the chapters. Of course, it will not have everything, but it would have covered at least 80 to 90% of your entire syllabus. Okay, I mean entire syllabus in that particular chapter, which is of most relevance and most importance. MCQs and case scenario booklets. This you can practice once you have finished studying, so that you get a hands-on preparation apart from your mock and RTPs. So revision test papers are so beautiful and so important, because sometimes what happens is they pick up questions right from RTPs and they paste it in your exam paper. Little bit, changes here and there, but they do this. They do this almost every attempt. So it is important to refer to RTPs, and not just because you get the same questions, but because the understanding of that particular concept, it's like a brush up. It's like a picky brush up of the things that you have studied, that the RTPs will make sure you go through. And the mock test paper, of course, you will be writing mock test here. You will be writing mock test. The more mock tests you write, it is better. Why? Because it is important for you to understand where you're going wrong, or where you can do better. Until you put that on a piece of paper, it is difficult for us to analyze, because when we are studying, when we are practicing, we think, I know this. But when you put it on the paper, you need to get that flow. And how do you get that flow? By practice. And how do you get practice? By writing mock tests. And Institute comes up with 2 series for every attempt. If I don't think the mock test is come for this attempt yet, but if it is not, you can refer the previous attempts. Okay. So these are something that ICI comes up with. Please make use of this. They are very helpful, they are very crisp, and it will make your study effective. Okay, so we have discussed all these strategies of how to prepare, how to study right before the exam. There's one more strategy that you need after you write the exam. That is to go back home straight from your exam hall. Please do not stay back and discuss with your friend what went wrong, in which question. Did you do this right, or did I do this right? Don't come back home, open your books and try to cross-verify. Why? Because it sometimes demotivates you. You might have gotten it right in the exam paper, but you come back home, you check it, you think it might have gone wrong, and it will affect your time and your peace of mind for your next exam. And this happened to me in finals. This happened to me after my first paper. My first paper, I messed up when I was writing the roll numbers. I wasted 10 minutes to get additional paper. I had to start rewriting the entire paper, because of which I was not able to complete, and whatever I had completed, I was not confident. I came back home, I checked, I panicked. I wasted good 2 hours for my next day's exam. So that shouldn't happen, okay? You have to leave your exam once done back in the exam hall and come back home with a fresh state of mind to get started for the next paper. Okay, now these were the strategies. Now there are some tools that can help us make things better, make things easier, and this is something that I use. These are called visual cues. Wake up, kick ass, repeat was what was the wallpaper of my laptop, the entire time I was preparing for my CA finals. Every time I would waste a little extra time, I would feel really bad when I look at this, and I'd come back to reality that I need to finish it. It can help you or it may not, but it helped me. That's why I'm sharing it with you. You can use this, either use it as your phone wallpaper, or write down something on your wall, or stick a paper, or something that keeps you motivated all the while that you need to come back, you need to study, you need to prepare. Okay. Now, you need to plan how you're going to study. You're going to study, yes, but how are we going to study? How are we going to break down all those subjects in the time we have, and how are we going to break each subject into the number of hours? So for this, we need a timetable which will put these things into boxes, so that we have a track of whether we have completed as much as time allotted for this particular chapter, this particular subject. Are we on track? How much more time is left? Are we able to manage it? Should I revise my timetable? Should I focus more on something else and less on something else? All this understanding you get when you make a timetable. So today, do an exercise. Go back to your houses, rooms, take your books and make a rough timetable just for yourself, just for you to feel it, how much time you have and how many subjects you have and how you're going to study for the remaining number of weeks until your exam. It will give you an understanding of where you stand, okay? So it's not just enough if you make the timetable, it's also important to track your progress, where you stand, whether you have reached the milestone that you were supposed to, because this will ensure that you are on your track and you can keep updating your timetables and time schedules, okay? So keep tracking your progress. Now, what is accountability part? Now, when there is nobody to ask us what we are doing, what we are studying, how much have we finished studying, or whether whatever we have planned is going according to that or not, we tend to go off track. So, accountability partner is somebody you can rely on, somebody you can update your status, somebody who will ask you, have you finished studying, did you meet your target, did you study as much as you were studying, did you write your mock test, if you have written your mock test, how did it go? Now, why is this important? It is important when you need somebody to hold your hand and say it's going to be okay, you're going to be able to do this. Somebody to pull you back and say you need to study, you're wasting a lot of time. Somebody to say it's okay, we can plan this well and we can do this. An accountability partner is somebody you are accountable to, just so that you don't go off track. This helped me when I was in my CA finals. I had a senior who helped me with it, and believe me, this is what actually helped me get through and clear my finals. Because at that point of time, you need somebody either to push you or to pull you or to stop you from getting demotivated and tell you that you can do this. So it can be your parent, it can be your friend, it can be a CA, it can be anybody. Approach someone and ask them to be your accountability partner. So let's just recapitulate. Start now, because time is running and we need to cover up things that we have planned. Plan it well before you start so that you don't get stuck in between, okay? And use the tools that are handy so that you can not just study, but you can study better and you can prepare more effectively. Okay. So don't worry, it might seem a little scary, it might seem like a lot is required to be done, but we can do this. Let's plan it, let's plan it how we are going to do it, because at the end of the day we can all do this. It's all about the attitude, it's all about the perspective. So you can do it because everybody can do it. Okay. Thank you.